Blog Talk Radio.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams. We are the music makers.
In light of our subject matter for tonight, we have decided to do a different opening theme for today to honor the real-life superhero that we will be talking about.
I am Santa Claus. Ho, 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 ho. Flying through the snow, can you hear him? Ho, ho, ho. He's so full of cheer, only has to work one day a year. Children in their beds, visions of sugar bombs fill their heads. So many kids out there, Santa must be a billionaire. Red suit, boots are black, big sack of toys hanging off his back. How much does he weigh? How do the reindeer pull his sleigh? Nobody sees him as he travels the world. Leaving his presents for the good boys and girls. Sees every move you make. Better be good for goodness sake. Leave him cookies and beer. He'll be back to your house first next year.
All right. Welcome to Superhero Academy. I'm Crossfire the Academy, and I hope everybody enjoyed the special Christmas Academy opening for today. We're going to be talking about a very unusual topic tonight. We're going to be discussing the actual person behind the myth of Santa Claus. The not the guy in the red suit you see on the Coca-Cola commercials, but the actual Bishop of Myra, who is possibly one of the earliest beings on Earth that could have qualified as a real-life superhero. Online with me, I see Golden Valkyrie. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And I have area code 318.
That would be me, Marshall Eagle.
All right, and area code 205.
What's your area
Hello,
code?
area code 205. Pardon?
This is Skyman, and I have Ladybug with me.
Skyman, and then the Ladybug here, and Skyman, of course, is our visiting professor for tonight. He's going to be helping me with this topic. I knew you were traveling today, Skyman. I didn't know if you were going to be able to make it in or not, so I'm glad to hear you here.
I'm here and ready and waiting.
And caller, just for fun, while we're calling in, as a real-life superhero, if you could have one comic book item, one fictional device, one real-life supervillain, real-life superhero thing left under the tree by Santa Claus, what would it be? Get creative here, you know. We
Probably the grappling hook from Batman.
The grappling hook from Batman. I'm really actually, I'll be honest, I'm expecting somebody to call in wanting to be wordinator or something off of Phineas and Ferb, you know.
Hey, but a little heads up, I'm having to be at work at 5:30, so I'm not going to be able to be on long, so.
Oh, that's fine. We're glad you called in.
No problem.
All right. We're glad to have everybody. Those of you that are listening or in the chat room, you're welcome to call in. The call-in number is 917-889-3317. We're going to have some fun. This is, like I said, our Christmas show. It's a little lighthearted than the past few shows. We've had some really good ones. If you missed last week with Power Capes and Heart Heroes, that was an awesome show, and I will probably try to have them on here again later on down the road because they are some awesome people doing some awesome work with kids. But today we are talking about Nikolas of Myra, who is the patron saint of children. Skyman, you want to start this off? So you were going to be doing some research, or do you want me to?
No, I've done some research, and like I said, Santa Claus was a real-life superhero. From all the studying I've done, Nikolas of Myra. Myra was located in modern-day Turkey now, and Saint Nicholas, why he became Santa Claus. Actually, the correct pronunciation, the European pronunciation, is Sinterklaas.
Right.
And you know how us Americans, we like to Americanize everything, so it became Santa Claus. But Sinterklaas was the Archbishop of where Ankara, Turkey is now located, but it was in Myra. Anyway, Myra was a community that had a lot of churches, and this guy was the local bishop. A bishop is like the head leader of all the churches in the area. Now, St. Nicholas is admired worldwide for what he has done. He's not only the patron saint of children, he's the patron saint of travelers, miners, all sorts of good stuff. But what I really found fascinating about
sailors, he's also the patron saint of sailors and lawyers. I guess it takes a real-life superhero to be the patron saint of lawyers, doesn't it?
This is weird, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you. One of the stories I wanted to share is how he became the patron saint of lawyers. In one instance, he was involved in a transaction down one part of the city, and as he came back into the city, he was met by the people saying, while you were away, you were not here to protect somebody, and 3 innocent men are going to die. And these were 3 men that were being charged with something he knew they were not guilty of. And I'm going to tell you, this is not your average Sunday school preacher that we know. This is a man of conviction and a man who was not afraid to do what he had to do. He marches into the legal area there, the government area, marches up and takes the sword away from the executioner. The men were already hooded. They were already in place. They going to have their heads taken off of them. He marches and takes the sword away from them, throws it across the room, picks the man up, walks him to the door, and he says, I'm taking him out of here. You're going to find him innocent. And that's all it was said about that. He just let it flat. No, you're not executing these guys. How many of us would walk in? I mean, you're talking executioners. In that day and age, these are the men that were men of strength. These are the men that were feared. And this is he just walked in and snatched the sword away from the guy and said, "You're not going to do this.
Off with your head and be done with it."
Exactly. He said, he became their advocate. He became their. That's why they named him the patron saint of lawyers, because, I mean, that's the lawyer I'd want to have.
No doubt.
Let's be honest. Yeah, he just came in and did his thing. He said,
I am Santa Claus.
That's right.
Excellent.
Hey, I'm going to be playing with the sound files tonight because if you haven't heard, Blog Talk Radio is making some changes. And in February, we're going to have to go to a half-hour show instead of an hour show. And I'm only going to be allowed 3 sound files. So that's going to be my caller-in sound file. That's going to be my intro and probably my closing song. And it's kind of sad because I found some sound. I got my Christmas present earlier. I found a site that had all of the sayings of Robin from the old Batman and Robin, the Batman TV series. So, I could plug in any time.
Holy Frankenstein! It's alive!
I downloaded several of them, and just
Holy guacamole!
like this one.
Holy guacamole!
I think my favorite soundbite is the one you use when you buzz silver in.
Yep. I've got a new favorite one, though. Here's another one.
Holy hole in a donut!
But my favorite one, and it's going to make its way into our I'm going to tack it onto the end of my theme song at the beginning of the show.
Holy crossfire!
That is very apropos, sir.
Good for
I
you.
love it.
Holy crossfire!
Awesome.
Yep. It's just, I mean, there's hundreds of these things. I didn't realize how many he said there's hundreds of them.
Holy purple cannibal!
Oh, yeah.
Well, to get back on topic about St. Nicholas, Sinterklaas.
I'll let you take this one if you want. How would you like to talk about the dowry for the three women?
Oh, I just read about that story. I can't relay it, but the one story I can relate is how he became patron saint of children.
Yeah, go ahead with that one. That sounds like a good one.
Well, it was very Christmas related. Why Santa Claus is Santa Claus for Christmas time? Why do we have this fat guy that comes down a chimney and gives us presents? Well, there's a historical basis. Not only was St. Nicholas the brash and brooding guy that went and took the sword away from the executioner and became a patron saint of lawyers, which was just blew me away. I mean, lawyers have a patron saint?
Lawyers.
Well, everybody else is a patron saint. Why not?
Well, let me tell you, lawyers definitely need one. But anyway, to get back on the true story, so around Myra, these little kids, it was like there's all sorts of modern day translations of this, but the actual story goes that he had a heart for children. This man, Nikolas, loved little children, and so during the holiday season, it wasn't Christmas, but December 6th, St. Nicholas Day, was the traditional day he did this. The little children would leave out their wooden shoes, their clogs, outside the front door. You know, you never wear your shoes inside. Always take them off outside anyway. Well, St. Nicholas would come along and leave little presents, little toys, maybe some fruit, maybe something for the parents outside in these shoes. And the mothers and fathers of these children would bring in the shoes the morning of December 7th, and they'd have, Christmas. It would be their presents. St. Nicholas did this out of his own pocket. He spared no expense with all this stuff. I remember one story where one of the little kids was wanting a mule for their dad to do farming with in that area, and St. Nicholas went and bartered with a gentleman and got this mule. So tied to the little stall outside this cottage was the mule that St. Nicholas had given to this child for his dad to do some farming with. If that's not a story. I
had read in my studies that not just on the one day, but throughout the year, if there were families that were struggling for food or such for the kids, he would leave either like food items or coins in the shoes so they could make sure the children were able to eat.
The bag of coins is not related exactly to the children. He would give the children, fruit, whatnot, little trinkets, little toys, but he would also leave a bag of coins for the parents to go and buy the children something new for that day.
Exactly.
But that
what most people may not know about Nikolas of Myra. Nikolas of Myra was born quite wealthy. His family was very rich, but his mother and father also died when he was still a young child. So I think he was like around 9 years old when they died. I have not been able to confirm his age anywhere, but he was somewhere between 9 and 12 when his parents died, and he inherited their vast fortune, but pretty much lived his life like a pauper and spent the money on everybody else. I mean,
that sounds like a lot of people.
He literally could have been Bruce Wayne and had the fortune to create this whole thing.
Bruce Wayne. He was very modest with his wealth, and like like I was talking about, one day every year he would, spread that wealth around to the children of Myra and the parental community of Myra. And it's just how this man had such a big heart and yet also did things for law enforcement. And there's a story that both Crossfire and I appreciate, is how St. Nicholas was present at the Council of Nicaea.
Oh, yes.
Now, the Council of Nicaea gave birth to the modern-day Bible. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all the New Testament was said, and most of the Old Testament was said at the Council of Nicaea. It's called Nicene Creed. Well, anyway, St. Nicholas was at the Council of Nicaea, and being as he was a moneyed individual and well-off, he was very, very learned. He knew a lot about his faith. He knew a lot about Catholicism, and he was also, a bit esoteric. He didn't exactly follow along a lot of the lines of, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. He wanted some of the other, what we would now term pseudo-gospels included, like the Gospel of, what was it? It was Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. It was
the Gospel of Timothy or Andrew? Thomas.
The Gospel of Thomas. St. Nicholas was adamant that Thomas be included. He was overruled so many times at the Council of Nicaea that he got so angry that he went up to a few of his bishop friends and slapped them across their faces.
The most famous one of those was the one bishop was teaching that Jesus and God were two separate people. One of the things they established at the council was the Trinity, the doctrine of Trinity. And this person was a very politically strong person, and so everybody was just smiling and nodding and allowing him to speak. And here comes St. Nicholas. He steps up, and according to the records, he slapped him so hard across the face that he broke his nose and knocked him unconscious.
I mean, come on now, if that's not conviction.
When I hear it,
what you believe in.
I go back to my previous my previous sound clip.
I am Santa Claus.
Hey, guys, I hate to cut my call-in short, but I needed to go on and clock in to my work, so.
All right, you clock in. It's good to have you. You can pick us up on the download the podcast. I'm sure we'll go into an after show here when this is done, because this is going to be a fun topic, and we're glad to have you call in. Call in again next time.
No problem. And have a good day, and God bless you.
God bless you
God
too.
bless you, sir.
Oh, one of the miracles attributed to St. Nicholas, a couple of them come from the Council of Nicaea. One of them, shortly thereafter, upon knocking this bishop, and I've got his name here somewhere, but knocking this one bishop unconscious, he did so in front of Emperor Constantine, and it was forbidden to strike anybody in the presence of the emperor. So St. Nicholas was forcibly taken from the council and locked in the prison, and to make sure he wouldn't return, they stole his clothes. Locked him in the cell, and this is one of the times that a miracle was attributed to him. He had a vision of Jesus and the Virgin Mary, and Jesus asked him, "Why are you here?" And he said, "I am here for standing up for your word." He said, "I am here for defending you." And Jesus said, "All right." And when the emperor sent to have him brought before him for judgment, they opened the door, and not only was he no longer in chains, he had his priestly robes on again, which they didn't know how he got those, and he was sitting there reading the scriptures. And they brought him before the emperor and told him what had happened, and the emperor said, "Hey, leave him alone." The emperor was not going to mess with him. The other miracle attributed to him at that is he actually fell asleep in the middle of one of their heated discussions, and at that same time, it was reported by a group of sailors on a ship out in the Mediterranean who were caught in a storm that he appeared on their ship, commanded the storm to quit, and it did. And then counseled with the men for they disappeared.
This is the story of the multiplication of the wheat, right?
No, that's actually another one.
Wow.
Before we get into that one, I wanted to actually talk about the coins, though. You were talking about him giving to the children. One of the stories that just his most famous story concerns three young ladies. Their father was a nobleman, a person of position, but he had made some foolish decisions. He had basically put himself in a position where he did not have any money. He had 3 daughters who were coming of age, and he did not have dowry for them to be married, and because of their position, their nobility, they couldn't just be married to anybody. So he was looking at being in a position where they were going to be forced into prostitution in order to survive. And word came back to Nikolas about this situation. He said, this is not acceptable. And he knew the man would not accept charity. So what he did the night before the first young lady came of age where she was going to be ready to be married, he filled a purse with gold coins and under cover of darkness went to the house and threw this purse through the window. So the father finds this purse in this house there, and he has the money now for a dowry to get his first daughter married. A year later, the second daughter is coming of age, and again, same situation. For her to survive, he is possibly going to have to basically sell her into a life of a slave as a prostitute. And he, again, through the cover of darkness, he throws the purse through the window full of gold, and the second daughter has her dowry. The father actually waits a year later when the third daughter is coming of age, and when he hears the purse hit, he chases him down to find out who his benefactor is, and just falls to his knees and thanks him. And Nikolas actually begs him not to tell anybody where the money came from. And
the father
to me, that's
searched, and yet he went and confronts St. Nicholas about this. St. Nicholas claims only God could have done such a thing.
Yes. And I have another caller, area code 810. You're on Superhero Academy.
Hey, is this Crossfire?
This is Crossfire.
Hey, this is the Baffling Weirdo.
Baffling Weirdo. Hey, this is the other clown in the Real Life Superhero movement.
Huh?
Wow, I've never heard Baffling Weirdo before.
Yeah,
Baffling Weirdo and myself are the 2 clowns in the Real Life Superhero community.
That's right.
Weirdo's an old-timer, isn't he? He's been around since, like, the Hero Coalition.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, he's been around. He came on during the Heroes Network's earlier days, I know that much. And we talked a lot on the Earth Agents board.
Pleasure to hear you, sir.
So how you been?
Doing good. So, Weirdo, we got you online. We're talking about Santa Claus, real-life superhero, the real-life Bishop of Myra.
I believe he
Nikolas.
was.
Yes, we were talking about him and some of the things that are attributed to him. But also, when you call in, we're asking everybody to tell us what superhero fantastic device would you like to find under the Christmas tree this year? Would you like to have the Flightinator or the marshmallow gun or whatever device that you can imagine? You know, if the Advanced Idea Mechanics sent something to you through Santa Claus, what would you want to have?
Nice looking sidekick would be appropriate, I'm thinking.
I think Silver Sentinel already got that one, didn't he?
Wrong tree.
And would you believe Skyman now has a awesome-looking sidekick himself in one Ladybug?
Yes, that's true. I believe her former identity, very briefly, was called Hot Chick. That was a little joke between me and her there. I told her she didn't choose a superhero name. I was going to start calling her the Hot Chick.
Thank you very much, CF. You made her night and mine, sir. Thank you very much.
All in a day's work.
I'll take advantage of that little segue there to go back to Golden Valkyrie, because Golden, I believe you have a message for us from Silver Sentinel tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately he can't call in tonight because he's a little tied up, but I have this week's Silver...
I am. It's Christmas, you need to untie him.
Hey, this show's keep in mind, okay?
All right, well, let's let TV have her say.
Yes, so I've got this week's Silver Seal. Unfortunately, I don't have a speech prepared because he kind of called me up last minute saying, hey, guess what, you're calling it in. This week's Silver Seal goes to the Great Lakes Alliance and to People Serving People. So this, Great Lakes Alliance, which includes Razorhawk, Geist, and I'd have to look at their members list. I'm sorry, I didn't have time to do my research. But
Watchman, Blackbird, Geist, Razorhawk. T. Krulos is an honorary member of the Great Lakes Alliance. Now, did it go through a name change? I knew it as the Great Lakes Heroes Guild.
Yeah, it did go through a name change.
Oh, wow. I like Great Lakes Alliance. That's cool.
Yeah. Recently delivered a bunch of toys to children in the people who are staying in the shelter of People Serving People. So this week's Silver Seal goes out to them and to the people who work for People Serving People for the work that they do.
Very good.
Way to go, GLA. Congratulations.
And for those that were listening last week, Silver Santa was unable to call in last week, but he did confirm I nominated our professor last week, the Heart Heroes, for the Silver Seal, and he did confirm to me in an email the next day that, yes, they are definitely worthy of the Silver Seal, and so last week's Silver Seal of approval goes to the Heart Heroes and Power Capes for what they do for children with that have congenital heart disease.
I listened to that show. It was well-deserved, I thought.
I'm telling you, I'm just in awe of those people. I would love to find ways that I can to help them. They do a very good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going back to our topic, we talked about Nikolas and Myra was a person of very much of conviction, very much he was not afraid to do these unpopular things, whether it was slapping somebody for teaching something that he disagreed with or scripturally disagreed with, or charging and taking his sword away from somebody. Another thing that he is attributed to is shortly after he became the Bishop of Myra, which again was still at a young age, a young teenager, according to everything I read. That's the interesting story, because the bishop himself had passed away, and the church leaders had gathered in prayer to determine who the next bishop was going to be, and the elder of the church received a vision, heard a voice that said, the first person named Nikolas that comes through the door, you will make my bishop. And the next morning, there was a knocking on the door, and in came Nikolas. And they asked him who he was. He said, I am Nikolas the sinner, and I'm here to pray. And they said, no, you're here to become our bishop. And they made him the bishop, and from that point forward, he hit the ground running. But just a couple of years after his being made bishop, he was thrown in prison, along with many of the other leaders of the Christian church. Upon his return, Christianity was giving a reprieve, a tolerance order for Christians, came down from Constantine, the emperor again, and he set about going through the city, destroying with his bare hands the pagan temples, and was actually, according to eyewitnesses, attributed to actually fighting demons at the sites of the temples of Diana and some of the others. How do you even classify that? You know, somebody might talk about changing the flat tire on patrol, or scaring off a drug dealer, but I mean, you've got people talking about fighting demons and tearing down temples. This is a man of passion that was not afraid to do what had to be done. Any of us could learn from that example.
Sounds like a feat that Samson would try to attempt or something, tearing down a temple.
Oh, definitely. And he did, according to what I found, he tore down several of them, again, with his bare hands. That's just, all I can say is wow.
Very much so.
Skyman, why don't you brought up the grain ships.
Yeah, this is a very interesting story. During a great famine in Myra, the Emperor of Byzantium, there was a famine, and people were starving throughout Myra, and St. Nicholas decided that he needed to put his foot out and then do something about it. So he invited all the sailors to unload a part of their wheat that they went along and delivered to Byzantine. Well, anyway, all these sailors did not like him at all, did not like this idea because they wouldn't be reimbursed. They would be chastised for unloading the wheat as donation. Well, anyway, not only did Nikolas reimburse them, but they wouldn't receive any damage. But guess what? The wheat that these sailors unloaded was reportedly such a small amount that it wouldn't have eased the famine any. But the next morning, when the wheat was delivered a day before, and then the next morning, these weight counters go back and they make a really shocking find. The weight of the wheat had doubled, and it lasted for a whole 2 years. And this is a miracle that is attributed to St. Nicholas.
And the further part of that is that when they returned with the wheat to where they were going, that the wheat weighed up the entire cargo like nothing was taken from it.
Mm-hmm.
A favorite one that I found was the yeah, did you find the story of the kidnapped child?
No. Tell us this one.
Oh, this one I loved. And an enemy king had captured a man's young son, taken him prisoner, and was forcing him to be his cupbearer. And so he was responsible for filling the king's gold chalice, whatever, with his wine and serving him, and just made a slave out of this young boy, like 6 or 7 years old. And the father had gone to Nikolas of Myra and begging for help. Pray to your God, help me out here. But the interesting side of the story, as the father is with Nikolas, the son is with the king, and he tells the king, my father will go to Nikolas of Myra. And he says, your Nikolas of Myra can do nothing. His God can do nothing. At that point, a mighty wind came through the palace and literally picked the boy up and blew him out the window. And according to the story, it dropped the son at the foot of his father and Nikolas, still holding this valuable chalice that belonged to the king. And that is one of the miracles that is attributed to Nikolas of Myra.
I mean, the story of this man's life reads like a Hollywood thriller.
I'm telling you, it's like, if you look at what people think of Santa Claus, first of all, you think of the red and white suit that you see that came from a Coca-Cola commercial. You see it in all the little animation, claymation specials and cartoons.
Shopping malls and stuff like that.
Shopping malls, and, you see that. Then you have the Santa Claus of myth. I have 8 reindeer. I'm in a sleigh landing on roofs. You have so many stories that are just local legends of Santa Claus, Sinterklaas, Popo, Vivo, whatever. All the different names attributed to him, and then the local legends that came about. But when I look back at the person here, and how much of this is tall tales, how much of it is truth, how much of it is verifiable, because of the length of it and the fact that it was recorded, passed down from person to person and recorded generations after his death. I mean, there is room for some expounding on it to make it sound better. But I mean, this is exciting. They're actually making a movie about Nikolas of Myra. I didn't know if you were aware of that, but they're actually making a movie about his life. Supposed to be coming out, I believe, next year, and I'm excited for it because this.
So am I. Even if it's supposed to be a historical depiction of Nikolas of Myra, not Santa Claus and his elves and his reindeer and all that other crud.
Yeah.
Now, if we want to get into some modern day interpreting of Sinterklaas, the town that he's from in Turkey. Modern day Turkey went through some recent upheaval within the past 3 years because let me see, where is it? Yeah, there was a statue of St. Nicholas, simple bishop statue, and the modern Turkish town, Demre, is built near the ruins of Myra. Well, he was a very popular saint, and the city attracts thousands of Orthodox tourists a year. This solemn bronze statue of St. Nicholas was removed in 2005 by the mayor of that church and replaced with a red-suited plastic Santa Claus statue because he wanted the central statue to be more recognizable to visitors all over the world. They wanted the modern-day interpretation of Santa Claus. So this statue was removed. It was put in, the original bronze casting was put in storage for the past 3 years, and it recently made a comeback in 2007. The church, the Divine Liturgy, celebrated St. Nicholas Day by returning the bronze statue. But they couldn't put it on as high a pedestal as the plastic Santa Claus because of the mayor of the town of Demre. But we can successfully report that the genuine depiction of Santa Claus is located now in the cathedral, in the church at Demre, where outside in the town square, high up on the pedestal where the original statue sat, is the plastic interpretation of modern-day Santa Claus. If that's not just an interesting story in political diatribe, I don't know what is.
Sounds like commercialism to me.
One thing I found really interesting is that the sarcophagus that he is purported to be buried in, they claim that it leaks like a honey-like substance. They call it manna that has been attributed to have healing properties, miraculous healing properties.
Yeah, that was another story I found fascinating. Thousands of people flocked to the coffin sarcophagus of St. Nicholas to get, the Nikolas drippings, they call them.
It's just like a few drops a year, if I read right.
Mhm.
I'm like, wow, this. There's as many miracles attributed to him after his death as there were before his death.
Mhm.
It's just, I've got pages upon pages of stuff here. The incident where he took the sword away from the executioner was witnessed by 3 princes who were visiting. Basically, he was talking to the thing he was doing when he was away from the city was visiting with these 3 dignitaries, and he just basically said, "Come with me," and made them follow him, and they witnessed what happened. They went back to their home and were later charged with the crime that they did not commit, and they prayed and asked for St. Nicholas to be sent to intervene for them. And at that night, the jailer and the emperor and the person who had made the accusation were all visited by a apparition of St. Nicholas, who put them straight, and they all came in, and they all had the same, as they call it, a dream, and they called the 3 princes together and asked him, who did you talk to? What's going on? Why did Nicholas appear to us? On another instance, when the city of Myra, of course, was having some difficulty, the St. Nicholas, not a saint at that point, had gone to Emperor Constantine and requested the taxes be lowered on Myra. And a decree was put forth of lowering their taxes, which is something even to this day that Myra, supposedly that area has lower taxes than the rest of the area around it. But he took this decree from the emperor, tied it to a board, and threw it in the bay, and it floated up on the shore in Myra. It was immediately put into effect before he ever was able to leave the city where the emperor was. The next morning, some of his advisors the emperor's advisors had asked him to reconsider and he asked Nikolas to bring back the order so that it could be revised, and he said, I don't have it anymore, it's already in Myra. And they sent runners to find out if what he said was true, and when they got there, they found out that this thing had floated up in the bay, and that they had put it into effect immediately. And again, the Emperor did not argue with Nikolas. I wonder, I would love to hear Emperor Constantine's version of the stories, because more times than not, I find him bucking heads with Nikolas and Myra and losing. And the Emperor Constantine was one of the most powerful men in the world at that time, but it seemed like he just did not hold a candle to the man who would become Santa Claus.
I am Santa Claus.
That's right.
Now, you do know, Crossfire, that Emperor Constantine tried several times to have St. Nicholas removed from his bishophood due to all of the controversy surrounding why the Council of Nicaea and whatnot, how all that went down, how he slapped the 3 bishops. But Pope, at that time, was adamant about keeping Nikolas in Myra because he did such great work. The Pope overruled the Emperor, as it were.
It seems Nikolas, he kind of had a charmed life in some ways there. He got away with a lot of stuff that others wouldn't, but the reason he did, from everything that I saw, is because he had such a pure heart. He had such good and noble intentions, and he wasn't afraid to take the risk and pay the cost for what he did. One thing that pointed me towards him to say, this is Santa Claus, real life superhero. When you look at him, and
you kind of answered your own question there by your praise and stuff, because that's pretty much what we should be doing.
Oh, I'm telling you, if we took and said, okay, for the next year, I'm going to live my life like Nikolas of Myra. Hello.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
If you went out and you said, here I have a family that is hungry, and I'm going to leave them a bag of groceries on their stoop instead of leaving coins in the shoes or whatever. Here I have a young lady who is, trying to get out. She's in a position where she's going to be forced to sell her body to survive, but I can get her a bus ticket home. Just something along that lines. What would Santa Claus do? We always heard, what would Jesus do? Or some people say, what would Elvis do? But what would Nikolas do? What would St. Nicholas do? How would he? WWNMD. What would Nikolas of Myra do? I love it. We coined it right here on Crossfire Academy. Bookmark that. We get a quarter every time somebody says it. WWNMD.
Right.
What
Copyright
would
it.
Nikolas of Myra do?
Amen.
But what I see as I read this is a man who had, he had his own pride and dignity, of course. He wasn't a bum, but he wasn't obsessed with worldly things. He had, everything money could buy, he had, because he was a wealthy man. He had the position, he had the power, but he used it for the people. He saw a problem and he fixed it. He saw an issue and he addressed it. And he didn't let the grass grow under his feet, Instead of going to the local lawbringers and saying these people are innocent, he went to the executioner and said, you're not going to do that. Instead of going to the man and saying, here's the money, take it, he just threw the money through the window. Instead of taking the parents aside and saying, buy food for your kids, he just left the food in their shoes or on the money on the stoop for them. And he did it in such a humble way in serving, but then in the ways that were necessary, he stepped up and was bold and blunt. I mean, let's be honest, how hard do you have to slap somebody to break their nose and knock them unconscious?
I mean, that must have been a slap heard round the council at that time.
I mean, it must have sounded like a 2 before breaking in half.
Well, how do you think he would be interpreted in today's society? I mean, we're talking, hundreds and hundreds of years between then and now. Do you think he'd still have the same kind of impact or a different type of impact or what have you?
I don't know. I remember, a character from my childhood, my teenage years that I really admired was a sheriff in this county north of where I live by the name of Tommy Robinson. And he made national news on a couple of occasions because he did some things that were unpopular. The state was using the county jail to house state prisoners. The county jail was overcrowded, and they were forced to turn away people they were arresting on the street because they didn't have places to put them. And he went through the process of you need to take your prisoners and put them in your state penitentiaries again and again and again. They kept him on, dragging their feet. So one day he loaded up all the prisoners that were state prisoners, took them out to the state penitentiary, and handcuffed them to the fence and left them there. He said, "These are yours now." And, there was a big stink about it. But in the end, what had to be done got done. He made his point, and he didn't take them back. And, there are examples of that. You can see them if you pay attention. It's hard to sort through the news when they want to talk about this person is a hero because he throws a football, or that person is a hero because he can shoot a basketball,
or he's got a tennis shoe endorsement or something like that.
Yeah. And don't even get me started so that when they start telling me somebody's a hero because of what political party they're in or whatever, there are real heroes out there.
That would be a totally different show. Let's not even try and go there.
Exactly. And, I guarantee you, from what I have seen here, Nikolas and Myra was not a small person. He could have been a football player, and anybody can knock somebody unconscious with an open hand to play football. I guarantee it. He might have invented the first football penalty box, He was a good hockey player, probably. But.
Or a hockey player, right.
Yeah.
Oh, good that he's on our side then.
Santa Claus!
I love that clip, don't you?
It's awesome. It's epic.
Oh.
Well, with his size, it's good that he's on our side, I wouldn't want to have to face him in a dark alley or something.
Now, flipping back through here, it's really hard to talk too much about St. Nicholas without getting into some of the miracles, and it's just there's so many attributed to him. But at one point there was a story about some story that says the devil, another that says Diana appeared to a group of sailors and tried to get them to bring a gift to St. Nicholas of some oil. They wanted them to anoint the walls of the temple where Nikolas was bishop with this special oil, and that now I'm looking. It says whether it was Nikolas or whether it was somebody else that appeared there afterwards and told them not to, but had them to throw it in the ocean.
Huh.
It said it was somebody that looked like Nikolas. I'm looking at my notes here, but it said it told them to throw it in the ocean, but not even use it. And when it hit the water, the oil burst into flames and burned for days. And that it was actually supposed to be a demonic trap to destroy Nikolas. Wow! I mean, that's the stuff of comic books. I mean, and here it is, hundreds of years old, being told about the man that we picture putting toys in Christmas stockings.
Right, where they put the indestructible man against the puerile, and he succeeds against the odds. Which, like you said, is right out of a comic book.
It is the stuff of action novels and comic books, and I think if I was able to go back in time, this is one of the people I'd want to meet. Honestly, I would seriously be just honored just to share a dinner with him one day. I mean, you got something else to add to this? while I'm flipping through my notes?
No, my research was pretty limited because my travels and, getting my personal affairs in order. I appreciate you letting me come and co-host, and I appreciate all the work you do, CF. You're a great host, and I would like to say Skyman signing out and Skyman salutes. Thank you very much for allowing me to be here today.
Every Merry Christmas, Skyman.
By the way, Skyman, before you go, still there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have not gone to the drop zone today.
Oh, that's right. I was going to bring that one up.
Oh, definitely.
I have a good
now, my drop zone, this week, last week I had a substantial loss of weight in the drop zone for a total of 23 pounds as of last week. I've only dropped one this week, but this week I had been out in the red and white suit, not the one with the cape, but the one with the beard, doing my own little Christmas tidings. We did a couple of appearances at one of the local hotels set up out front, and the money that was raised was donated to a children's home. And I did a customer appreciation day over the town I came from. I do every year. And a private party. Not a whole lot of Santa Claus appearances this year. I did go downtown to get some pictures taken, but between that and my work schedule, it's kind of thrown my my daily schedule a little bit for a loop. So I still had a drop of 1 pound, so that's a total of 24 pounds since we started Superhero Academy, and plus how much Skyman's lost.
Great job, Crossfire. Great job. This past week I did some traveling, so I didn't do a whole lot of, good eating, but I'm making that up for it now with all this great food I have in the Monterey County, California right now. It's a beautiful place, but I do have some good news to report that the last time I did get on the scale, I lost, 6 pounds from that time to from the last time to this most recent. So that's 6 pounds for Skyman. So that would be a total of, I would say, I think I've lost about 30 pounds so far since
that's the point.
joining the drop
was 20 the last time you reported. So about 30 for you and 24 for me. That's 55 pounds right there. That's pretty good drop zone for two of us.
Yes,
I
sir.
my notes here. I knew there was something I was forgetting. One of the miracles of Nikolas and Myra that neither one of us brought up, he actually is credited with bringing 3 men back from the dead.
That's right, resurrection. It was kind of like the Lazarus tale. I did read about this.
There's
so
actually
3 men,
several.
I think you can go in greater detail. You've done a lot more research than I have, CF, so you take it from here.
Yeah, I printed a bunch of stuff out. It says one of his first miracles, St. Nicholas restored a burned child to help before he became the bishop, and that's how he became the patron saint of children, among other things. But during the famine, there was a butcher who lured 3 students into his home and murdered them, and was going to sell their flesh off as meat. Gross as that sounds, at this point, he was trying to make a buck off everybody else, and Nikolas somehow found out, became suspicious of the situation, and confronted the man about it. The bodies of the 3 students had been hidden in barrels, pickle barrels. And not only did Nikolas confront him about them, but he actually caused the 3 boys to come back to life and led them out of the house. And then, of course, the man and his wife were punished for it. It says in his ministry and his lifetime, he saved 6 men who were falsely accused from death, which made him the patron saint of lawyers, the persecuted, and the imprisoned. He became the patron saint of the poor and chemists when he multiplied the shipment of grain. And where's the rest of my notes? And looking. I've got so many notes here. But
we can go on and on about the life of Nikolas and Myra, but I would like to make a plea to all those who are listening. Let us make 2011 the year that explodes into WWN NMD, WWNMD. Let us always ask. Let us create. Somebody out there is going to be creative enough to create a little bracelet, a little icon or card or something that we could all carry around. Maybe I'll even do this because I feel so inspired. Let's all ask ourselves, what would Nikolas and Myra do? Because
we got about 4 minutes remaining. I'll give a quick challenge to everybody. Our mission statements. I have been doing the mission report challenges the past couple of weeks, and we've had such fascinating discussions. And if anybody wants to stay online, we can go for a few minutes over. But I think we've covered this really, really well and enjoyed it. Guys, if you want a mission statement, this mission challenge this week, first off, I challenge you, get a hold of your Salvation Army. Volunteer for a shift ringing a bell out in front of Walmart or whatever. There's a lot of people get paid for that. Volunteer your time. If you do it in your gimmick, you get extra points, guys. If you're out there in your super suit, ringing the bell, taking in the money, that's just bonus points. Have some fun with it. But if you add a challenge to this year, my personal challenge that I would like to meet myself, I would like to throw out to everybody, and that is to find a way to maybe once a month donate one cape from Power Capes to the Heart Heroes. Give to a young child that's in a having surgery for congenital heart disease. Heart Heroes said it costs $25 to have the cape made and shipped. They've sent about 200 in the past year, and they have a backlog of 200 more that are waiting on the funding in order to do it. If everybody that listens to this show, everybody in the community, were to commit to one cape a month, I mean, that's 12 capes a year. It would not take many of us to overcome that backlog and take our status as real life superheroes is self-given. These children were given no choice. They were given a raw deal from the start with one with a bad heart. Guys, they are fighting monsters. They are out there fighting demons. They are fighting an enemy that really literally wants to kill them in the form of congenital heart disease. So, guys, if you can take this challenge for the year of 2011, figure out some way that once a month, twice a month, once a week, even if you do it just one time in the entire year, donate a cape to Heart Heroes. That is my challenge for your mission this week. Now, we got about 2 minutes. I'm going to go on ahead and sign us out with some music. If you want to stay on and continue talking for just a few minutes and just wrap everything up, I'll kind of clue you into some of the upcoming shows off the line. If you are wanting to call in and be part of that discussion, you got about 2 minutes. Call in. I'll get you on the line. We'll continue this for like about 15 minutes afterwards, unless we get into a real good discussion. And again, thank you for this for listening to Superhero Academy. I am Crossfire the Crusader. Thank you to Skyman and for being our visiting professor, for Golden Valkyrie, Silver Sentinel in Spirit, or Silver Santa Claus this week, that is. And Battling Weirdo again.
I saw that picture. It was hilarious. Anyway, thank you very much, Crossfire.
Yep, thank you, Crossfire, for having me. Have a good night.
In honor of our topic, I've got a different closing song for today. We're gonna ring out the season, ring out the show by ringing in the season, and stay in line if you want to talk, and we'll continue this, and I will share the upcoming shows.
Jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing a bushel of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell time and jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air, what a bright time. It's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time is a swell time to go gliding in the one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet. Jingle around the clock. Mix and a mingle in the jingling feet. That's the Jingle Bell Rock. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell time and jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the go gliding in the one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet. Jingle around the clock. Mix and a mingle in the jingling feet. That's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell rock.
All right, everybody, this is Crossfire. Just a quick wrap-up and a teaser for the upcoming shows. All our callers are offline, so I'm going to wrap this up rather quick. I just want to share with you next week, 12/26, we're going to be doing a show on New Year's resolutions and DUI with our visiting professor for the week will be Anonymous from Saskatchewan. We will be kicking off the new year on the 2nd of January with Captain Australia. Yes, the hero from down under will be joining us. On the 9th, we have the honor of DC's Guardian, who's going to be sharing with us all about Skiffy Town League of Heroes. On the 16th, one of the big names in the real-life superhero movement, we will be having Zeta Man is going to be joining us as our visiting professor, and we're going to be talking about overcoming adversity and just his history and a number of other things. The following week, the 23rd of January, I am honored for our last 1-hour show, unless things change. We will have the one and only Peter Tangen, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but we will talk about the Real Life Superhero Project and some of the other things he has going, as well as media relations, because we have, Pete's Law that tells us about how real life superheroes can best utilize the media and not be turned into a joke. So we'll be going from there. So I look forward to talking to Peter Tangen, Zeta Man, DC's Guardian, Captain Australia, and Anonymous in the next 5 weeks. Coming up in February, based on the success and the interesting show that we've had today talking about St. Nikolas, we will probably go into February looking for a Valentine's Day show talking about St. Valentine's, and possibly in March doing a St. Patrick's show. I'm going to do some research on them. I know about the lives of these individuals and what brought them into sainthood and what we can learn from them as real-life superheroes. So this is the Crossfire Academy. I thank everybody for being here, for everybody that called in, those who have listened live and joined us in the chat room. It has been a great show. Enjoy your Christmas. Give your family a big hug. Call the ones you can't see. And make a difference in the world, guys. It's Christmas. Give the gift of yourself. Give the gift of love. And just continue doing the good. Just continue walking the high roads. Continue living the good life. Merry Christmas to every one of you from the Crossfire Academy, the Superhero Academy radio show, and real-life superheroes in general. Thank you very much. Thank you all for what you do. Thank you for inspiring me and keeping me focused. And I pray that I am worthy in 2011 of all the praise that has been bestowed on me for doing this show. Guys, remember, like we said, what would St. Nicholas do?
I am Santa Claus.
Let's take the world, guys. This is Crossfire the Crusader signing out. See you next week. Same cross time, same cross channel. It's painless giving is what